But we appreciate the CEO and founder of Key Assets Financial and Ridgeland joining us today in our personal finance class. I've got a room full here with me at Velma Jackson, and we're recording this for our friends at Madison Central, Ridgeland High School, Germantown High School, and our YouTube channel. So we thank you for joining us on your very busy schedule. And like I said, we have some questions we'll get to, but I think it's important that we talk about what you do, how you got into this. And I think you have a really cool story of how you started the business, because you grew up very, very similar to our kids up here at Velma Jackson. So I'll let you tell us about how Key Assets came to be and what all you guys do and the importance of financial literacy, especially in the Black community.
Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. I am Cynathia Cortese. I am from the Delta area. I'm originally from Little Yazoo, which is about 10 minutes outside of Yazoo City. I was raised by my grandmother because my mom passed away when I was 9 years old. So that was definitely like a big financial shift in my life as well as my family's life. One, because we didn't have the adequate amount of life insurance to keep the same lifestyle that we had when my mom was living. And two, you have, it's a different generation. It was a different generation. So my grandmother, did what she could, raised me very well. My uncle actually helped out a lot as well. But growing up, finances wasn't something that we sat around the table and talked about. It wasn't a topic at dinner time. It was actually a very touchy subject, simply because, growing up, they tell you, like, don't let everyone in your business when it comes to money. So it's not something that, we just talked about a whole lot. What was really brought to my attention growing up is when I finally went off to college, and I saw so many other students making financial decisions with their parents, with their, their mentors and different things like that. And it was financial decisions that I had to make on my own. That's when I really realized that I didn't have the financial knowledge that I needed. And then number two, it made me wonder about those coming behind me who also didn't have that same financial knowledge. So that's kind of what inspired me to start Key Assets Financial. I realized that in life, when it comes to making decisions where you want to go in life, the things that you want out of life, you are the key asset of that. And if you don't take full accountability, take full control of your actions and your behaviors, you are the reason why you will not get, where you want to get to. So that's the short story behind Key Assets. As far as like being from Yazoo, we didn't have a lot of opportunity. We didn't have a lot of options. Now that I look back at my old high school, they have a lot more than we did, when I was there. But you kind of had a couple of choices. You could, find a job, or you could go off to college, or I think some people chose military and different things like that. But there wasn't a whole lot of options. I chose the educational route. I graduated from the University of Southern Mississippi, where I received my undergrad degree. Yeah, Southern Miss to the top. But I still struggled a lot my freshman year trying to find my way. I remember having to pay for school, and I had no idea how I was going to pay for school. I wasn't educated on Pell Grant. I wasn't educated on any type of private loan. So I remember having a conversation with my dad, and I was like, hey, I don't have enough money to pay for school. And he was like, oh, well, you might have to sit out this semester because we don't have the funds for it. And that broke my heart because, going to college is something that you look forward to, and I didn't want to leave my friends and my peers behind my freshman year. That just was going to be a bad look. So I had to figure it out. That's when I started, taking out loans and different things like that. But even when you go through that, they don't educate you on the consequences behind the loans, the repayment options, different things like that. So I think when it comes to personal finance, you have to educate yourself from the foundation. The foundation is budgeting, saving, and investing. Okay. So when it comes down to like budgeting, every dollar should have a destination. When you start bringing in income, you need to know, okay, what are my expenses? What do I have to pay for on a month-to-month basis? How much of my income does it take up? Right? That's a huge thing, because once you get finished paying bills, you still want to be able to, do a couple of things. So I suggest out of 100% of your income, no more than 40 to 50% should go towards your expenses. when it comes to protection. So I know a lot of us probably will eventually get cars and stuff if you don't already have it when you go off to college. Some of us are responsible for paying for our own car insurance. That is a necessity. It's not if something happens, it's always when something happens. Okay, something always happens. So making sure that you're protecting yourself on that end. It's having the right mental mindset when it comes to your life in general. Sometimes parents have life insurance on you, sometimes parents don't, but it's the foundation of your finances. You need to protect yourself whether you live too long or you die too soon. Okay, so looking into different type of life insurance policies and different things like that. When it comes to saving, like I said, it's not if something happens, it's when it happens. So making sure you're putting enough aside for like short-term consequences or short-term goals. So if you're the type of person who likes to go out to eat, or you're the type of person, that likes to have fun with their friends, put it aside in your savings for different things like that. Now we may have a tire to blow out. We may need an oil change, different things like that. Make sure you put money aside for things like that because they happen. Okay. I was riding last week. I got a nail in my tire, a real interesting looking nail. I've never seen one like that before, but I had to, go get a new tire.
Yeah, especially
You said what?
Especially in Jackson.
Yeah, I had never seen that type of nail before, but it happened. That's not something that I was picking up my daughter from school, left the school and had to go get a new tire. So something always happens. And when it comes to investing, what happens if you live too long? Retirement is coming, and I know you want to enjoy your glory years, right? So knowing your financial independence number is a huge factor. What do you want your life to look like when you get ready to retire? What type of lifestyle you want to live? Do you want to be on a yacht, or do you mind just sitting at home watching TV? The reality of it is the Social Security money that we're putting in now, we're probably not going to have that money when we actually get ready to retire. And I know you guys are a lot younger than I am. So it's making sure you're taking control of your life. So what do you want your life to look like? Okay. Look into different 401k plans, look into different retirement plans that you can have outside of your job. The earlier you invest, the earlier you can take advantage of compounding interest, which is interest on top of interest, grows super, super rapidly. You can take advantage of compounding interest and have more money the earlier you start. Also, something I want to talk about that happens in the Black community, especially like in the rural areas, is predatory lending.
Oh.
Predatory lending is very, 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 very bad. We're talking check cashing places, payday loans, different things like that. We tend to get wrapped up in those things because those are the things that we saw growing up. When we didn't have enough money, our parents probably went to the payday loan place and, something to hold them over to the next check. Yes, they sell it to you as being very, very helpful, but you can also get lost in that cycle. That's a slippery slope to be in, because as soon as you pay that money back, you need to borrow it again to get to the next paycheck. And so many people I see from my hometown get wrapped up in that, and they don't have a way out. And that could potentially go on your credit, which messes up your credit early. So let's try to stay away from those predatory lending places. Not having a bank account. Being underbanked is really, really huge in our area too. We actually a friend of mine and we were talking about coming back home and doing some seminars at our old high school, and it was so many children there that parents didn't educate them on what's the difference between a debit card and a credit card. Right? These are things that you can Google yourself. Google is a great place to start. These are things that you can Google yourself and educate yourself on. So
a Cash App card is not a debit card.
You said a Cash App card?
Cash App card is not a debit card.
No, it's not.
I use Cash App too, but that should not be your go-to financial institution.
It's not. It's so unsafe to be honest. You always want two things I suggest having: banking with a credit union and banking with a major bank. You want to build your relationships with these banks, just in case you get ready to buy a house. You'll have an institution to go to be able to finance that home that knows you, that's used to working with you, that knows your background, your spending history, different things like that. So that plays a major role. And I think the last thing I want to talk about is student loan debt.
We talked about this in class Thursday, so I'm glad you're talking about it.
Yeah, student loan debt, knowing the current circumstances that we are in, you see that people that graduated, I would say 10, 12, 15 years ago, we are seeing the aftermath of all the student loan debt that we currently have, okay, including myself. We're waiting on these forgiveness programs. It's affecting our debt to income ratios when it comes to purchasing a home. It's so much that goes into it. Once you go to college, they're going to tell you, hey, take out this loan, whatever you don't use, you're going to get a refund check. Well, it's not a refund check. It's a loan. It's the same loan. You have to pay that money back. So never ever borrow money that you do not need. Okay, nobody told me that. As I told you guys earlier, I was at the point where I just wanted to pay for school. I took the refund checks as what they called them, but nobody told me, you know what? That adds up. That extra $25,000 to $5,000 you get in per semester, you have to pay that back. And it comes around a lot quicker, than you would think. So please don't take out money that you do not need. If you have to take out loans, take out only the amount that you need to cover your classes. Do some work study, get an extra job on the side, different things like that, so you won't be in so much debt once you get older. A lot of people talk about people who don't go to college, right? They're like, hey, well, I went to college and this, that, and the third. That doesn't mean anything, to be honest. And I say that because their credit is a lot better than some of the people's credit that went to school because they're defaulting on those loans. I see it every single day, right? So you have to be responsible and take control and, accountability for your own financial decisions when you're, going to school, purchasing cars, getting credit cards, different things like that. So
yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that too. And no, that's great. I'm glad you mentioned that too, because along with the student loans, I think they could be also considered predatory because the society sells you, you're the first person in your family to go to college, you're from a rural community, you need to take out this huge loan so you can have the status of going to a major university when people aren't educated on the ACT scholarships, the HELP grant, the Pell grant, the MTAG, things that are not things that had to be paid back. When if you do your part in school now, and I know these kids are so sick of us practicing the ACT, but every Madison County Schools junior is going to get to take it for free here in a few weeks, and that's going to set them up to have that baseline for those scholarships to go. Because when me and you went to Southern Miss, the tuition wasn't near as high as it is now. Right. Tuition's not going down, paychecks are not going up, so you have to find ways to cover that.
Yeah, that's exactly true. We started testing for the ACT, I think my 10th grade year. We went through the Duke University thing that they had going on. But yeah, take it early. Take it early and get the highest score possible. I didn't find out about MTAG and all that stuff till I made it to college. So do some research, figure out, it's a lot of scholarship money out here. It's especially for minorities. It's so much scholarship money out here. It's just that we always miss it because we're not looking for it. We expecting somebody to come tell us about it.
Yeah,
it just doesn't work like that.
And with the HELP grant now, and with anybody watching now or anybody watching later, any student in the state of Mississippi that qualifies for reduced or free lunch with a 20 on the ACT and a 2.5 GPA would qualify for full tuition assistance from the state of Mississippi, and that is not a loan. That is a grant that does not have to be paid back.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
And even me, and I tell kids all the time, you never know what you can qualify for. My dad was a surgeon, and I still got the MTAG, so I was still getting $1,000 a semester of money that I never had to pay back.
Yeah. It makes a huge difference, especially with room and board. Like, college is expensive. And don't let nobody tell you have to go to a university. You can start out at a junior college and get the same education, at least for your prereqs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's a good point too, because we have Hines Community College coming and Holmes Community College and East Central all coming. And those classes you take your 2 years community college are the same ones you would take the first 2 years at a university.
Yeah.
Most of the time you're in a much smaller classroom. So it's and like you said, and I say the same thing coming out of high school. I went to Madison Central, but I was not informed properly of steps I could have taken. If I had to do it over coming out of high school, I would have done it completely different. And it wasn't that I was stupid, but I wasn't informed. So it's the importance of these young people paying attention to these topics you're talking about are just absolutely cataclysmically important. So let's talk a little bit about key assets. What are some of the services you provide? Because obviously we know you're a financial company, but especially you deal with a lot of small business owners and a lot of families. Because I have a lot of kids. We have an entrepreneurship program now, but we have a lot of kids say, "I want to start my own business," but they don't have any idea about the startup cost and the operating cost that it would take to be your own boss.
Gotcha. So when people say they want to start their own business, they have to first realize what category they fall in. Do you want to be self-employed or do you want to have a business? It's two totally different things. Being self-employed is pretty much just you working in that business. It's you wearing the hat for every category. It's you doing the work. It's you doing the cleaning. It's you doing everything, right? So I would say first map out what exactly you want your business to look like. Okay. On the business aspect, in the future, do you want to hire people? What type of framework and structure do you want your business to have? That's very important too, because you can't hit a target that you can't hit a target that you didn't set. You can't hit a target that you can't see, right? So the first thing I say is map out exactly what you want your business to look like. Number two, I would say is your business a need-based business? Are you operating just out of a hobby that you like, or do people actually just need what you do? That makes a difference in your success of your business. Doing market research to see who all would be interested in the type of business you have. So many people think that they are failures because their business didn't work. It has nothing to do with their work ethic or anything. It's the type of business that they started. People didn't need it, right? So I think that plays a big role in your success. Number three is making sure whatever you want to name your business is available. All right. You want to steer clear of all lawsuits. So I suggest going to the Secretary of State and making sure that that business name that you want to have is available.
Yeah, and that's
making
a free database. You can get that's public information available at any time.
Yep, you can log on today if you want to create your account. In the state of Mississippi, to start a LLC is $50. $50 plus tax, I think, which comes out to like 53. Yeah. Okay, so fairly easy to start the business, but so many people start without a plan. So I see people all the time on social media saying, "Hey, I started my business today," and they post their certificate, but that's where they stop, because they don't have a game plan afterwards. What type of marketing I have to do to reach my target audience plays a role as well. Making sure you're setting up a business bank account. Even though you did your registration with the state, your business doesn't start until you have a business bank account. Because anytime you try to go and get any type of funding or anything like that, they're going to ask for your bank statements. And if you don't have a business bank account to show bank statements, they think you don't have a business, right? Or the IRS will recognize it as a hobby, right? Yep. So that will be the next thing. And an EIN number. An EIN number is equivalent to your Social Security number for your business. So also those are, you said what?
Also very easy to get.
Very easy and free.
Yep.
It's free. A lot of people charge to do these services, but you guys, it's so much that you can cover on a free basis if you just use Google. I promise you, everything from the front to at least the middle, you can probably get to on Google, right? Where the work actually comes in is you marketing your business, you setting up successful systems in your business where if somebody did come to you, if the Lord sent you 100 clients today, would you be able to take on their volume? Do you have the systems in place to next step people when they show interest in your business, right? That sometimes that makes or breaks a business, because with the social media world these days, like they so freely, can voice their opinion on their platform where it can make or break a business overnight. So if I had to give beginner steps, those would be my beginner steps.
Yeah, and before I get to some of the students' questions, I do want to also circle back. You talked briefly about retirement plans. And I think one thing, especially with the people older than us, I had grandparents too, and they were all just so set that they were going to get all their Social Security money. And we're talking about it here that, if you work in the state of Mississippi, there's things that are coming out of your paycheck, whether you want it to or not.
That's true.
So obviously you have that. And Social Security is part of that, unfortunately. But, I see young people all the time from every community. They don't want to, even if a company is offering them free retirement money, they still don't want to do it because they want to ball out and have a bigger paycheck. And that's just such a big trap to fall into, because if a company or anybody you're working for, if they're matching your retirement contribution for free, you're absolutely out of your mind.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. The reality of it is, if you don't save nothing, you won't have nothing. Believe me, the ropes that people have been thrown this last decade will not be the same ropes extended to you when you get to retirement age. So if your company is matching, let's say most companies up to 5% inside of your retirement account, that is free money. Take the free money, okay? Even though you can't, I'm gonna say you can't put your hand, even though it's a penalty to put your hands on it before 59 and a half, take it, because in your mind, you want to live to 59 and a half at least, right? You'll be able to get it then. But so many, when you go into Walmart and you see that person like standing at the door that's like, they really sit down because their knees hurt. They're not there because they want to be there. Majority of them are there because they have to be there. It's because their money did not extend throughout their retirement years, and they still have to work, right? So just think to yourself, like, do I want to be that person?
Yeah. And
you have to save.
And that's even if you have a job where you didn't go to college, a lot of companies are going to offer that. And like you said, you're absolutely out of your mind if you don't start that from a young age. And then if you're a government employee, they have the deferred compensation plan where you get even more that you get later. So, and honestly, you don't even miss that money. So no. if you're worried about balling out and getting on Instagram at 21, 23, trying to show all this new stuff you buy, that's where it's going to hurt you later down the line. And I'm not even an expert, and I know that.
Yeah, it's assets versus liabilities. It's so easy to stunt on social media now, and sometimes it makes us feel some type of way because we're like, dang, they doing so good. But just think about it. Are they really doing it good? Like, you can't see their bank account. You can't see the life they live outside of social media. You don't know what their life is going to look like in 10 to 12 years. But the only person life you know that what it's going to look like is your own. Yeah. So you have to focus on you and your bank account.
Oh, absolutely. All right, I got some great questions. Let me see. I'm gonna try to get as many of these as I can. I just had a really good one. Let me find it.
Okay.
This is Rydarius Williams, and he's a junior.
Okay.
And he said, was this your original career choice? And if not, what did you learn in college and other past careers that helped your customers in certain situations?
So no, this is not my original career choice. I actually went to school. My undergrad degree is in psychology and speech pathology, and my graduate degree is in business, but not entrepreneurial business. So how I got here is, one, I saw a need and I decided to fill the need. And the need was the lack of financial literacy that in my neighborhood, in my past neighborhood. And I wanted to help those coming behind me. So that's how I got here. I've never really worked a job. I've always really been an entrepreneur. I come from a family of entrepreneurs, but they're more so of self-employed entrepreneurs. I saw that and didn't want to be like that. So I decided that I wanted to build a real business. And I was thinking, before we got to Key Assets, my business name was B&W Consulting. And I help people with life insurance and investments. When I got my securities license to do investments back in 2016, 2017, something like that in there, but I was helping people do that. But I couldn't help the clients that I knew, which were mainly from my hometown, because they didn't have the savings to invest. So I saw a bigger problem where I needed to break it down to budgeting. I needed to break it down to teaching them how to actually save money, how to get legit bank accounts, different things like that. So that's how Key Assets started. I went back and revamped my business and decided, okay, I'm a key asset in this. I need to be that go-to person for people that I know and people that those people know, so I can actually help from the bottom to the top.
Yeah, and that's a great need. This is Jeremy Clerk. He's a senior, and he asked, what were some of the startup costs you had for your business?
The startup cost, like I said, LLC in Mississippi is about $53 roughly. I needed a laptop. I used my laptop and my cell phone. That's all I needed. So that's stuff that we use every day anyway.
Absolutely. This is Anthony Walker. He's a sophomore, and he asked, did your college experience help you get to where you are today?
From a networking standpoint, I would have to say yes. From an educational standpoint, no. Majority of the things that I know about personal finance is from my personal experiences and other people around me that I know. So I wouldn't say that college really makes. From the student loan part, yes. Other than that, no.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, if nothing else, we have stressed here at Velma Jackson that a student loan should be your very, very last resort. It is a
Yes.
very, especially now, it's just getting out of control. This is Jakia Luckett. She's a junior, and she had said, "Is it hard being the boss of the company?"
Yes. I'm not going to even sit here and act like it's just an easy job. Every day is different. So if you're one of those people who don't like, coming into the same setting every day, entrepreneur is the way to go. My days are very different. I run like 3 different businesses, honestly. And I have a lot of fires to put out, but in the same sense, it's very fulfilling because not only am I contributing back to the economy by being able to provide opportunities and jobs to others, I'm a role model for my daughter. She actually gets to see me working in this setting on a daily basis. And I feel like I'm doing the work of the Lord. So very, very fulfilling, but it's hard being the boss some days.
Yeah, and you've got some serious Airbnb investments going on in Atlanta. So I mean, that's another lucrative business that people aren't really aware of. That is pretty easy to get into.
Yep, I agree.
This is Quayshawn Sutton. He's a junior, and he asked, even though you wanted to get into the financial industry, what encouraged you to be your own boss and start your own company?
I'm hard-headed. I don't like people telling me what to do, and that's just the honest truth. I like doing what I want to do, how I want to do it, and when I want to do it. So I knew early on that a regular 9-to-5 wouldn't work for me. I would probably get fired. This is my honest answer. So I get urges sometimes where I want to move, and if somebody is controlling my time, I can't make those moves. Also, I have a grandmother that I care so dearly about, that has raised me since I was 9 years old, and right now she's 82. So I have to make sure she makes doctor's appointments. I have to be at her beck and call, and I don't think I would be able to do that if I had, a regular job. Same with my daughter. I want to be at school events. If the teacher calls, I'm coming. I couldn't do that if I had a job. So those were the main reasons I decided to be an entrepreneur. And that's what keeps me going some days too, because I have to make it happen,
This is James Jackson. He's a senior, and he asked, was being the first person in your family to go to college a big motivator?
So I actually wasn't the first person in my family to go to college. My family had a lot of people in my family have been to college. But I think the motivation part, college was something that my mom stressed to me and stressed to my father before she passed away. And it was make sure I got the education that she felt like I deserved. So going to college was definitely something that I had to do. It wasn't something that I actually had a choice about. It was like, no, you got to go to college. So figure out which one you're going to. It's kind of that. So
that's awesome. And you went to a good one because I'm an alumni as well. I just got one more from the students. This is Tatiana Jackson. She's a sophomore. And she asked, what is the best financial advice you would give to a high school student?
The best financial advice I would give to a high school student is to start now. Start now figuring out what's your next move in life and potentially how much it would cost. So if it's going to school, if it's going to college, you still have to eat. If it's going to college, you still have to, you still want to hang out with your friends. You still want to do now. Start budgeting now. Whatever income you have, start saving now. Practice those things now, because you can't, how you practice is how you play. You know, so once you start making the money that you're going to school to make, it doesn't change how you manage money. Okay. it doesn't change your mindset or your relationship with money. And people do have a relationship with money. You know, you have some people that spend every dime that they get. You have some people that save every dime that they get. Put yourself in the middle, kind of. Find a medium ground where you can still enjoy life, but still have something saved in case life happens. So I think that would be my from a beginner standpoint, I think that would be my financial advice for a high school student.
And we're almost out of time, and we thank you so much for fitting this in your schedule today. But before we go, I do want to ask you about, you grew up in a very rural area, even more so than we are. I mean, anybody who's familiar with, I was born in the Delta. I know all about how the Delta is. It's behind on a lot of things, and there's plenty of blame to go around on why that is. But you grew up in your mother died when you were young. You said yourself you weren't educated on financial issues, and you grew up in a very poor part of the state, but yet you still become a very successful financial expert and entrepreneur, and just really doing some great things here in the area. So what can these young people do to harness the opportunities they have now? Because they may think this stuff's boring and it doesn't apply to them, but you have seen yourself the traps people fall into because they don't pay attention to these things. So how can they really get a hold of this now and see how important it is?
I think how you can get a hold of it now is, I'm gonna go back to, where do you want to go, right? Even if college is not the place that you're trying to go right after school, what are you going to do? And what does it take to get there? Absolutely. Like I said earlier, you can't hit a target you can't see, right? Start envisioning your life after high school now. I'm telling you, like, life hits you fast. Like, I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm 30 years old now. When I was 25, 24, 23, I wasn't thinking like I am now, but I wish I had the knowledge that I have now. It makes a difference. So don't be the type of person that you have to touch the stove to know it's hot. A lot of people that went before you already and made a lot of mistakes. Take their mistakes and learn from them. As cliche as it sounds, that's the honest truth. If I'm telling you now, okay, start budgeting now, whatever income or money that you get, birthday money, whatever it may be, start budgeting now, right? Because when you finally do get there, you can't turn it on like that. It doesn't just turn on like that. You have to practice. So I would say start now. Another thing is, I don't run away from where I'm from. I don't. I embrace it. I love being a country girl. Like, that is if anybody asks you, that's my claim. If I'm like, nah, I'm from the country. Like, we do this, we eat like this, I enjoy being from the country. I didn't have a bad life. I just had certain areas of my life that I feel like I wasn't educated in, and now that I can sit here and say, hey, if your family not talking to you about finances right now, go talk to your family about finances. We get most of our financial advice from the person that's closest to us, be it our mom, our dad, our aunts, uncle, grandparents, whoever's closest to you, the loudest person in your ear, that's who you're receiving that advice from. Is it sound advice, right? If they're so close to you, can you have those conversations with them to ask them, hey, I see what type of lifestyle you live, do you mind if I ask you a couple of financial questions to see, one, do I want to be where you are, or do I don't want to be where you are? That's the honest truth about it. I think I would go that direction. If you're trying to, I guess, capitalize on your story and where you're from, embrace it, but learn from it.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Before we go, tell us where we can find the information on Key Assets Financial if they need any financial services.
Yes, so you can go to www.keyassetsfinancial.com. We have a link on there where you can schedule a free consultation. We don't charge for consultations or strategy calls. So if you have a business idea you need a little bit more insight on and would like our help, schedule an appointment, 45-minute session, and we would definitely help as much as we can. You also can send us an email at hello@keyassetsfinancial.com, and our office number is 601-707-7237. We're here from 10:30 to about 4:30 every day.
And y'all are in Ridgeland?
We're located in Ridgeland, right off Lake Harbor.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for making some time for us today. That was some great stuff.
You're welcome.
All right. We'll see you next time, my friend.
All right.
See ya.
Thanks.